Hey everybody, this is Jay Lippman, and this is Culture Cast. Hey everybody, welcome to Culture Cast episode 5. I'm super excited to have you with me today. It's going to be a great episode, I think. It's been a great week. Ever since I started this thing, I've been asking social media followers for two things. One are people to interview, and I actually just solidified my first guest. He'll be on in a few weeks. His name's Will Taylor Jr., and I am really excited to introduce you guys to him. The other thing that happened was I got my first question, and we're going to be answering that today. So big things are happening for the podcast. I'm really excited. I'm looking forward to including others in this thing. And so today we're going to start with our very first question, which comes from Belay Solutions. And what they asked was, how do businesses start the process of fixing their company culture while keeping their current employees engaged? Which is a great question. I think just the fact that anybody would ask that question shows promise, shows the ability to really improve company culture. Because if you're concerned with keeping your employees engaged, then you're concerned with company culture. It's just like that. And the way to do that, I think, there are two key factors. One is transparency. I think that way too many business owners feel the need to keep their cards close to their chest, not let their employees know what's really going on in the company, and I think that harms a lot of businesses. When employees feel like they're not being told everything, they start to feel like they're just a number, and they start to feel like their employees don't really appreciate them. And I'm speaking from experience. Like I've said in other episodes, I've worked a lot of different jobs for a lot of different companies, and the lack of transparency has really caused a lot of mistrust. It's caused a lot of hostility in the workplace. It's caused a lot of unhappiness in the workplace. So I think, the first step is, if you're really trying to go through the process of improving your company culture, let them know that, let them know that you're trying to be better, that you're trying to do right by them. And let them know, like, hey, we know we can be doing better, and we're going to try and go through the process of doing that. The other thing that you can do is include them in the process. If you're trying to improve your company culture as a whole, then I think you need the help of your whole company. In fact, the second step of the program that I've put together to help businesses improve company culture is by including the employees in the process. For smaller companies, I suggest that they have like an all hands on deck, company meeting, where everybody gets a chance to, share their views and share their opinions and express their concerns, and really get to interact with the management. The thing that I do with larger companies, for people who don't really have a chance to, have an in-person, company meeting, is to maybe send out an email accompanied with a survey where everybody can anonymously answer some key questions that will help the management and the executives really pinpoint where they're falling short in the areas of company culture. So including your entire company in the process of improving the culture is really key, because, let's be honest, just like in real life, I don't always have the ability to see where I'm falling short. Sometimes I need help from my friends and some, trusted advisors to help, point out where we're falling short. And that's just like in business. Sometimes the management and the executive team don't have the ability to really see where they're falling short. They don't really have the ability to truly get a grasp on what needs to improve. However, the staff, the people who aren't in a management position really have a grasp. They're the foot soldiers. They're on the ground. They're engaging with the customers on a day-to-day basis. They're the ones who really feel the effects of the decisions put forth by the management and the executive teams. And they're the ones who probably have the clearest vision of where the company can improve. So I think you really need to include them in that process and get their input and get their suggestions and then go from there. Gather the data and then gather the data and analyze it and figure out okay, there's going to be some sifting, like maybe there could be somebody there who's just not a good fit and they have really nothing good to say. But, if they're the only ones who feel the way that they feel and everybody else kind of has a different opinion, then, you may have to ignore some of the stuff going on, and you may just have somebody who's not a good fit. And that's, something that's later on in the process. But gathering the data and analyzing it and figuring out where you're really falling short and where you really need to focus your efforts is a key part in the process of fixing company culture. There's a lot of other parts. There are things that come before engaging with your staff, but those are the two key factors. Being transparent and including them in the process is the best way to do that. And to be honest, like, doing those two things will go a long way towards improving company culture. I mean, if you're being transparent and you're telling your staff, like, hey, look, we're trying to do better, that can really motivate employees to work harder. They can feel a little bit happier, like right off the bat, like almost automatically in the workplace. Like, hey, they're starting to get this sense that, they're working for a business that really cares. By including them in the process, that feeling is going to be amplified, and right off the bat, you're going to get a burst of motivation from your staff. So I think that's the answer to that question. Transparency and inclusion. I think that sometimes it's really hard for companies to do, and I understand that. There's a lot of companies that feel that keeping their cards close to their chest and not divulging too much information to their staff actually helps the business. I just disagree. I've worked for a lot of companies that do that, and it hasn't worked out well. It's caused a lot of unhappiness in the workplace. I've worked for companies that haven't really taken the time to get the opinions of their staff as to how the company is actually doing, and the company has continued to spiral downward. On the flip side, I've worked for a couple of companies, in my life that really did take the time to get input from their staff. In fact, the last company that I worked for did that. Once a year, they sent out an employee survey, and everybody had to answer that. And the really cool thing about that is at the end of the survey, the employees actually had the opportunity to ask a question, and the CEO went and took the time to send an email to each employee that asked a question and answer it, and I thought that was really cool. So if you guys want to learn more about the process that I have companies go through, please email me at j@jlippman.com. I would be happy to answer any questions that you have. You can also schedule a 1-hour consultation where I'll go over that. But I think that's really it. That's, part of the putting the building blocks in place, putting the cornerstones in place to improve your company culture, is to actually communicate and include your staff. So that is my answer to that question. Thank you, Belay Solutions, for it. That was a great question, and I'm looking forward to answering all of your questions. All you have to do is is tweet at me, J_Lippman. Or you can do it on Instagram. You can either send me a DM or you can do a post and tag me in it. Instagram is jlippman. You can even snap. If you guys are on Snapchat, hit me up on Snapchat, J_Lippman. And I'd be happy to include your question in a future episode of CultureCast. Guys, that's it for me. Please ask your questions. I'm still looking for people to interview. And I'm also pretty soon going to start looking for sponsors. So if you guys want to get some advertising in, please shoot me an email. Again, that email is j@jlippman.com. That's JAY@JAYLIPPMAN.com. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really enjoyed doing this episode of CultureCast, and I look forward to next week. See you later. Hey everybody, thank you so much for listening. Your attention means the world to me. I hope you know that. If you guys could do me a favor and head over to SoundCloud and give this a like, or head over to iTunes and rate this podcast, it would be awesome.